Qing's prose talking about being an official. Sir, I have never paid much attention to it. Recently, I have become interested in it because I have had more contact with it. I would like to briefly talk about it based on what I have seen and heard. Is being an official happy or not? I have no idea, but judging from the fact that many people are trying to do it now, it should always be interesting. But what does it mean? I don't know anymore. In my opinion, the more senior a person is, the more lonely he should feel. When his car arrived in the morning, he walked away quietly, except for a few armed guards. There was no one on the broad road. The scene must have been quite desolate. After entering the office, he sat down alone again. The only company he had was the pile of documents on his desk, which had to be reviewed one by one. Sometimes his eyes were dazzled by the official documents, and his hands were sore after signing. No one gave him any comfort, and no one came in to listen to his complaints. Although he has many guests, none of them are his friends. Even if they were friends before, they are no longer friends now, who can understand the loneliness in his heart. These guests may have come to see him on official business, or they may have come to see him privately, or they may have come to see him privately on official terms. Everyone has one or more goals in their activities, and they are all thinking about the success of themselves or their own things. No one is thinking about him or his things. How lonely it is to be a high-ranking official. Some people may say that it is limited to the office. After the official business is over, his private life begins, so there should be some adjustments. I think that a high-ranking official still has no real friends even after leaving the office. Real friends should share the same interests with each other and have no intention of taking advantage. Now that the two people's classes are different, it is difficult to forget their class. Therefore, if a boss wants to establish friendship with his subordinates, it will be easy for his subordinates to take advantage of him and cause problems. That person is lucky enough to be promoted. If a subordinate wants to establish friendship with his superior, it is easy for his superior to misunderstand and interpret it as a sign of flattery. How sad this is. Even if you two can understand each other, others will not understand you. If envy and jealousy sow discord, the friendship will be slandered. We are still far away from the period of true freedom and equality for human beings. Even if we are at the same card table, we still feel inferior in our hearts. If we are not having a good time playing or talking unrestrainedly, we may even want to rely on a 7-string card. Or, with 80,000 yuan, it is a shortcut to promotion and employment. A person who is a high official not only has no friends, but also no lovers. A woman who really wants to fall in love will never regard an official as a partner. He is so busy with things and has no freedom of action, which are fatal injuries in the process of love. In the spring, the butterflies are full of excitement, and he is busy receiving guests. In the autumn night, the moonlight shines down like water, and he has fallen asleep from exhaustion. What else can you say to him? Moreover, if a person has read a lot, it will be difficult to write a love letter. He talks with the bureau chiefs every day, and a perfunctory smile will always appear on the corner of his mouth. At this time, it may be difficult to express his true heart and love. It's not an easy task. Therefore, I believe that not many women in the world will really fall in love with a high-ranking official. If it is love, it must be his money and power. Apart from money and power, if she really falls in love with him, then she must be the most infatuated person in the world, because she will sacrifice all her youth and happiness for this. From this point of view, it is not only difficult for a person who becomes a high-ranking official to find a true lover, but also an existing lover. I am afraid that after becoming a high-ranking official, there is a high possibility of losing her heart. If he has no friends or lover, then he should have a family that can comfort him, but he doesn't. An official is always too busy, but at the same time his wife feels too free. If you are too idle, you will either cause trouble or get sick. Sometimes the two are cause and effect for each other. You will get sick because you are too busy, and you will become even more troubled after you are sick. As for the young masters and young ladies, they have too little uprightness and too many nosy things. There are many people outside who are seeking to follow them. They dislike the mother-in-law's buttocks and are not happy to get close to them. Therefore, it is easy for dignitaries to become estranged from each other and even turn against each other. Everyone is like a black-eyed chicken. You can't tolerate me, and I can't tolerate you. Moreover, after the relationship breaks down, we have to take care of all aspects externally. We pretend to be a model family in order to hide it from others, but in fact, we are like a mute-eating yellow lotus in our hearts, suffering unspeakable pain. A high-ranking official is really like a single man, so he can only make his own way. But that is impossible. First, he simply lacks free time. Second, he might encounter an accident when he goes out. Third, if others see him, he will be scolded. It's okay if you don't dare to go to dance halls and cafes. Movies and plays are noble entertainment. But when a wealthy person arrives, everyone will stare at you. And it's not difficult to sit in a box. Others, such as swimming, walking in the park, and walking on Chiafe Road, are not what people who are high officials can dream of. As soon as the car in front moved, a carload of guards came stomping up from behind. They said it was for protection, but in fact, the effect of protection was very small, and the pain of surveillance was actually very sad. Maybe someone who is used to being a high official wouldn't feel this kind of sadness. Is it because he is too busy to think about it? Or is the soul already covered with moss? And the meaning is no more than this? Chang'e stole the elixir from the sea, and the blue sea and blue sky made my heart wander every night. If a person becomes a high official, he will have to endure embarrassing loneliness. However, this is not the case for junior officials. In one room, there are 5 or 6 writing desks, facing each other, back to back, and turning around to talk. Director Lin changed his tie today, so everyone can make fun of him. Section Chief Zhang suddenly shaved off his beard, which was also a source of discussion among colleagues behind their backs. Especially in this place, there is a beautiful female staff member who is everywhere, making love all over the house. The dignity of the section chief and director has been completely lost, and the whole staff has become one. In the organization where I work, there are many female colleagues who are very beautiful. Moreover, beauties also like heavy makeup, wearing gold rings on their arms, gold locks on their chests, diamond rings, precious rings, and platinum rings on their fingers. When I saw them on the first day, I thought they had just returned from a wedding banquet. Later, they did this every day, and the accessories were still changing, so I couldn't help but be surprised by their generosity. I thought that their income here should be very good. Unexpectedly, after inquiring, it turned out that the monthly salary including allowances was only 500 or 600 yuan. In addition to the round-trip fare and lunch expenses, the rest was probably only enough for them to perm their hair, for manicure purposes. So I guess that they were probably young ladies and wives who came here to serve, because they were interested in the business. This made me admire them even more. Another point worth mentioning is that women are rarely interested in getting promoted and making a fortune. They are probably section clerks, secretaries, telephone operators, and the like here, but they rarely work as directors, section chief, or something long dreamed of. Their jobs are light, but they rarely think about competing for rights with others. They probably only have one thought on weekdays, which is to compete with others in terms of clothing and accessories. Although in the minds of officials, the boundaries between superiors and subordinates are extremely strict, they will never differentiate between female employees based on appointment and recommendation. Even if there is a difference, the standard lies in age, appearance, clothing, and accessories, and has nothing to do with official position and salary. I believe that in the heart of any female employee, she will never feel the dignity of her boss and think of the humiliation of being qualified for her job. On the contrary, if there are too many people who think she is qualified for her job, her chances will be reduced. A woman cannot forget that she is a woman, and she will not be interested in being an official. She will only be interested in being an official's wife. Therefore, a female staff member often likes to inquire about the personal affairs of senior officials. Sometimes she feels embarrassed to ask people directly, so she has to take a big detour to get information. The people they pay the most attention to probably belong to the section chief class, because those above chiefs have their own private offices and are not willing to come over easily to live with others. Most female employees are junior staff. For those above them, it can be said that the elder does not see the king when he enters the palace. Even if we meet by chance, you know him, but there is nothing you can do if he doesn't know you, so you don't dare to have romantic thoughts. Only the section chief lives in the same room all the time. When I see that he is strict with others and very lenient with himself, and is grateful and kind, it is easy to fall in love with him. However, there are often misunderstandings here, because it is a common courtesy to treat a woman politely. But if the person who is being treated actually thinks that there is an ulterior motive and makes a joke, it is not a joke. There is too much talk about men and women. Let's still talk about being an official. The types of officials can be divided into two types. One is the official who writes, and the other is the official who does the work. The official who does the work is generally powerful, and the power is often beneficial. They are very proud of it. But we are not jealous. Food, taxes, donations, finance, economics, public services, health, education, land. Which one is expert, and which one can be done? Therefore, if we want to be an official, we can only choose the former. That is, to be an official who handles official documents. Speaking of official documents, it's really a mystery. At first I thought it was very difficult, but after learning it for a while, I found it easy. Later I thought it was not easy, but now I can say that it is really easy. At first I thought it was difficult because I didn't understand official document procedures. After looking at it, I realized that it was like filling out a form. Of course, it was much easier to do it with a format than without it, so I felt it was easier. But then why did it not feel easy anymore? That's a content issue. For example, my job is to approve work reports. The work reports they send are usually very detailed and organized. For example, there are statistics on how many official documents were received and how many official documents were issued in July. There are reasons for appointing people and removing several people from their posts. The number of things done by orders, the number of things ordered by subordinate agencies, and the number of things automatically initiated are all explained and noted. It seems clear that it has not been completed, but if you think about it carefully, it is not easy to understand, because they wrote the report. It is unknown whether they did it in this way. The report states that several official documents have been received, but I have not read them. Several official documents have been issued, but no reply receipts or the like are attached. It is impossible to verify whether the number is accurate, as to whether the reasons for the exemption are true as stated. How effective is the work they have done? They are talking to themselves. How can I believe it? At that time I felt it was not easy. Besides, there are many things that departments do that I don't know at all. I don't know whether they should do them or not, whether they should be done more or less, whether they should be done well or not done well. After checking it all over, I couldn't sign the document. I thought it was time to step down and give way to someone more talented. But when lunchtime came, my stomach started to growl, and I realized that I could give someone a job, but I could never give up my job. It's better to think about it reluctantly. Unexpectedly, after thinking for a while, I suddenly realized, my God, is there anything easier than this in the world? That is, I have said above that there are two types of officials. One is an official who writes, and the other is an official who does things. I am an official who writes, and my responsibility lies on the paper, between the words, and it has absolutely nothing to do with things. My responsibility is to read the report. As long as the paper is complete and the text is correct, that's it. Does it conform to the facts? But does it bother me? I wanted to do it, but I had no idea how to do it. 9. So I happily made an 8-character signature, saying, the review was still detailed, and a plan is to be prepared. Sure enough, the approval was signed with the word as planned, and it was just an official matter. Done. When I read this kind of report in the future, I will always use this character when signing it, and it will always be as planned. Even though I had to write a few more words when an official matter was settled 8-2, I remembered that my friend who was writing the report had thousands of words, and was sweating while writing it. It was much harder than me. They were both writing essays. Officer, I feel that I am not as good as those above, but more than enough than those below. So I feel at ease in my heart. The first political harm caused by official documents is the development of general concepts. The words Shang and Pai used above are all official articles. In fact, such a detailed report, in itself, should of course be said to be very detailed and approved for filing. So why be vague about it? Say goodbye to Shang? Why should I act irresponsibly? As for the second disadvantage, it is the development of class concepts of superiority and inferiority. For a big matter, you could just ask your superiors, but instead you have to submit them in batches, check the manuscripts in one place, and stamp the seals in the other. I am very busy. In this way, although the dignity of the official is maintained, it is often caused by the fact that things are not done well and not done quickly. Moreover, the so-called reviewers of manuscripts often tend to focus on words, and are picky about the meaning of words and details. This is where the officials who write papers show off their power, and this is where the wealthy people who work on things have troubles. In my opinion, it is best to reform the official documents first. Get rid of all the richness of writing, and let the officials draft the official documents themselves. The official documents should be written clearly and accurately. There should not be too many honorifics, and the nonsense should be omitted. Then another official superior who is doing things can read it easily and give detailed comments. As an official, he only needs to do things without writing papers, and things will be much easier to handle. As for its loss, it is nothing more than that the chief officer is less majestic. Jun, everything must be signed by Jun. His power seems to be extremely high, but a person who is aloof can endure the boundless heart. Loneliness may not be very pleasant. What's more, many competent people down there feel that a man shouldn't be so submissive, and if you want to replace it, it cannot be protected by a few guards. The officialdom is like a battlefield. I hope that in the future we can encourage women to become officials, and it must be much cleaner.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.